I'm here at a heaving Compton Abbas to talk to Guy Ritchie, who bought the airfield back in February of 2023, 6 months ago now, I guess. So I want to find out how the first 6 months have been, what plans there are for the future, and, well, essentially whether he wants to keep it as an airfield. I'm sitting here with Guy Ritchie, who recently bought Compton Abbas airfield. Guy, is that okay if I call you Guy?
Sure.
Great. I've been watching a couple of interviews that you've done, and in one of them you were talking about the importance of taking ownership and the importance of going into things with your eyes open, which I guess kind of begs the question, what made you buy Compton Abbas airfield?
I think there's a number of reasons, and in a different hierarchical order, but I live next door, which is a component, but there seems to have been a contraction of social spaces in the last, well, really 20 years, and it's become sort of aggressive in terms of its contraction, where people can congregate and encourage some kind of a local identity. And that sort of first was an assault on pubs, and there seems to be very little help for public houses from an established or from a sort of governmental level, where you feel like it's a thing that I see the pub as a kind of as a salubrious thing rather than a negative aspect of our culture, and in no small part because it's sort of an organic place of egalitarian friendliness. And this always struck me as that this is what this place should be, is that it's kind of open to the public and it should be a celebration of something. And in this case, it happens to be a celebration of aviation, and for me, particularly of a bygone period. And I like that as aesthetically, I suppose it appeals to my aesthetic eye. So I suppose that's why I'm interested in it, as a sort of some kind of a movement against the contraction of isolation. I wanted something that was socially generous and was bound to an identity of sorts, and it happens to be through aviation. It's not because I'm an expert or really know anything about planes. I just like the aesthetic of a period gone by.
So is it kind of like a local social experiment at all?
I wouldn't call it as much as an experiment as it is. It's been established here for a long time, and what I want to do is just make it a better version, a more realised version of what I think it should be.
And in the 6 months since you took ownership, you were closed for a couple of months where you refurbed, and big thanks from the aviation community for the investment you've made in the infrastructure here. Have you sort of discovered any pleasant surprises, unpleasant surprises?
No, we've got a sort of 2-3 year plan about what we intend to do, and in part of that will be informed by not being too aggressive or too fast moving in our intention. So we're receiving some feedback, but at the same time, some of that feedback will contradict other feedback. So I think we'll find what is our best identity, both communally and individually, and press forward with that. So we haven't done anything too dramatic thus far. I mean, we don't think it'll be anything very dramatic at any stage, but we want to make the food a better offering. We want to make it back to the original genesis of the idea. I want it to be a good alibi for people to congregate. I want it to be helpful to the community, to give us some cultural identity, both through the aviation and through the local area.
And I mean, airfields are not always popular in local areas sometimes. Presumably that's something that you're working on just by creating such a nice space for people.
Well, I just want it to be worth it for everyone around. I want us to offer something. I want us to be expanding rather than contracting in terms of its sense of generosity. It should offer something to the community rather than just be taking from the community. I mean, it's much loved, and it surprised me how much loved it is, actually, as we've been more invested in it. People like things to do, and this seems to, again, give them an alibi of something to do. And I want that offering to be rewarding.
There were a few people when the kind of news broke, which I guess was at the end of 2022 that it was happening. There were a few people who kind of went, "Oh no, that's the end of Compton Abbas." So you're, I mean, it seems obvious from what you said, but just to double check, you're committed to this remaining an airfield.
Well, you should see that through our investment, we're committed to it, and that's the plan. I mean, we're not burning cash here. We're putting money into it because we believe in it for all sorts of reasons, all the aforementioned reasons.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And I mean, there's a few people on my forums and stuff like that who are a little bit critical about the stuff to start off with. But I think that's probably teething problems when it comes down to the restaurant and how you deal with the public and also people who fly in. It's kind of two different audiences, really.
Yeah, I think all of these things, it's inevitable that there are going to be teething problems, and we may not be out of all of those, but I think within 2 years we'll know exactly what the identity is, and we would have worked through our teething problems. So I hope that we should tick the requisite boxes that one needs to tick when undertaking such a responsibility. I think that will happen organically, but we're not going to be perfect straight out the slips.
Talking of responsibility, one of the facets of any kind of aviation business is you can have the fundamental underlying business, whether that be food and beverage or people visiting and stuff like that, but everything's kind of comes with a layer of safety. Seems to me you're taking that pretty seriously here by looking at some of the people you've employed.
Yeah, I mean, if we didn't take that seriously, there is no show, right? So, we've been particularly particular about safety. So I, who know nothing about these sort of things, the only thing that I do know about is that you employ the right people to do these things. So I think we've taken that pretty seriously, and that sort of page 1, line 1 of the requisite responsibilities is the safety. So I hope we take that seriously.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Are there any of the kind of developments or plans that you've got over the next couple of years that you can perhaps share what we might expect to see?
Well, we want to take the aviation more seriously, but particularly in terms of the heritage aspect, principally selfishly because I'm interested in the aesthetic of that. So that's really where we want to lean more toward, is the heritage aspect of aviation.
And I mean, have you got plans in terms of infrastructure? Have you got plans for, I don't know, a museum or anything like that?
It's funny enough, we were just talking about that. It'd be great if you could walk through this, through the hangars, and have an experience. I mean, I think we're at the thin end of the wedge, which needs to be explored in terms of all the creative aspects that we can enjoy in the future. And it's too early for me to be able to really be articulate and explain about all the things, partly because I'm rather naive, but the other reason is just honestly we've been here 6 months, so I'll know a lot more within a year. But the plan is, as I say, we're invested, and we'll invest more into making this more of a complete experience.
And you said a couple of times about the stuff you don't know about aviation. Now you live nearby, you got yourself an airfield. Are you going to learn to fly?
Well, actually, 15 years ago, I did do I tried to get my PPL here, funnily enough. I got 3/4 of the way through that course, and then time arrested any further development. But possibly, it's just, it's a time issue.
Yeah, I guess you've got other stuff to do.
I try to keep myself busy. What's been contagious is the passion and enthusiasm of all the people that are involved in this, which actually I didn't imagine, but that has a contagious element. Like all sort of esoteric interests, there are those that are passionate about it, and as I say, that's contagious.
I think it's true to say that aviation is not an easy thing, and it's not a cheap thing, and so the people who commit aviation, for want of a better word, have to be really determined and really passionate and really keen on it. So that is why they bring that kind of passion, because it's very easy for that passion to be sucked away. So only the kind of pure, passionate people
survive. Yeah, yeah.
really.
No, I can feel that. I can feel that. No, so I mean, you know, but this is the most attractive airfield I've ever been to. Also, so I mean, as I say, the intention is just to make it more of what it is.
Well, I think you're right. This is probably, if not the best airfield in the UK, certainly one of the very best airfield in the UK, and certainly in the south.
It's sort of what you quintessentially want out of a southern English airfield, is that.
Absolutely, and it's not contaminated by too much of the faff that can go with other airfields to be
Right.
unpleasant places to be. This is a kind of destination airfield as opposed to a kind of the aerial equivalent of a railway station. If you
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of another reason why we are interested in it is because it just looks so pretty from the off. So it's not like you're inheriting something that's inherently boring. It's inherently not boring for all sorts of reasons, not least of which the activity itself, but secondly the tapestry on which it's placed.
Are you aware of the danger that you now face, in as much as that you've seen the passion, you've seen the enthusiasm, you've seen the beauty? It has a way of just seeping into you and then becoming all-consuming. It might be that if we speak to you in a year's time, you go, well, I don't do any brewing stuff, don't do any film stuff or anything else. I'm just here at the airfield.
Well, we'll see.
Mowing my runway.
We'll see about that. I've got enough passion projects, but this seems to just take care of itself quite nicely, you know. But who knows where this leads?
Quick question. So far, what's more fun, running a brewery or running an airfield?
I'm running an airfield.
Running an airfield.
Yeah.
Probably the right answer.
Yeah.
Well, definitely the right answer. And I think you're also involved in films, aren't you?
I peripherally.
Peripherally. Okay, so favourite aviation film?
Well, it's probably going to have to be Maverick at the moment, but it's still in the we're still in the zeitgeist of that. You know, I enjoyed that movie, so that's probably where I am at the moment.
Okay, so the next question was going to be Top Gun original or Maverick?
Oh no, I'm a Maverick one.
You're a Maverick fan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers now.